Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. So far we have completed the long answer questions for both first year as well as the second year. Okay, so if you didn't watch, kindly go through it. Okay, so from today we are going to start the short answer questions. Okay, so the first lesson will be the diversity of living world in the first year, right? So first question will be define the species, explain the various aspects of the species. Okay, so you should know, so we can divide this question into two part. Okay, so what is species? We have to analyze the various aspects of the species. Okay, so what the definition of species will be, so it is a basic unit of classification. So before that you should know what is classification and why we are saying that the species is considered as a basic unit. Okay, so basically the classification, the taxonomical hierarchy will be the kingdom. Okay, the top thing will be the the top unit in the first in the hierarchy will be the kingdom. Okay, so after that phylum, after that class. Okay, so after that order, family, and after that genus, and in the species. Okay, so species is considered as the last basic unit. Okay, so so that is why we are saying this as a basic unit of the classification. Okay, so the term species is considered from the Latin, it meaning the kind or the appearance. Okay, so you should know it is derived from the word Latin. Okay, John Ray in Historia Generalis Plantarum. So this is the big book written by this John Ray, the scientist. So he defined a species based on the common descent as a group of morphologically similar organisms. So in simple words, this John Ray defined the species based on the similarities among other organisms. Okay, so based on the morphological appearance, based on the physical appearance, they have classified the species. Okay, so according to John Ray, the species is nothing but a group of morphologically similar organisms. Okay, based on the similarities, they have been classified the species. Okay, Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus. So in his book The Systema Naturae, so he is considered that species as a fundamental unit of classification, as we all know this. Okay, so now the biological concept. Okay, the biological concept. So this is the definition we are taking nowadays. Okay, the species is the interbreeding group of similar individuals. So in the ecosystem, we know that there is an ecosystem. Okay, so a community, a population, and an individual. See, a group of individual living in the belongs to the same species, living in the same area, that is we are calling them as a population. It is not simply the group of individuals calling as a population. It is wrong. Group of individuals living in the same area, all they are belongs to the same species, then we are calling them as a population. Okay, so in this population, all of them are similar individuals, we know that, and there has to be interbreeding among themselves. Okay, so that is called as a species. So this is what a biological concept. So biological concepts, in the sense, they are defining the species in the means of reproduction. Okay, so based on this, they are defining the species. We are calling them as the biological concept by the Buffon. So the members share a common gene pool and produce a fertilized offspring. Species is the basic unit of classification, we know that. See, they are sharing a common gene pool. Why? Because they are group, they are an individuals belong to the same species, living in the same area. So automatically they are having a common gene pool. Okay, so as they are having a common gene pool, whenever they are interbreeding among themselves, they are definitely they will produce a fertile offspring. Okay, so this is what a biological concept of the species, the most accepted species. Okay, now you should understand what are all the various aspects of the species. Okay, what is the various aspects? Okay, species are reproductively isolated from individuals of another species. This word is a key word, and this is very important. That is reproductively isolated. See, consider this is a population, population 1, and this is a population, population 2. Okay, so in this population there will be a group of individuals living belongs to the same species living in the same area, and this is a population, of course they are also having a group of individuals, they are belongs to the same species living in the same area. But when compared to species present in the population 1 and the population 2, they are not similar among themselves. So that is why the individual present in the population 1 will not reproduce with the species which is present in the population 1. It is not possible. Okay, so because this is a different species, this is a different species, so that they can't reproduce with each other, so that we are saying this is reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species. Okay, so it is not reproductively isolated from individuals of the same species. Okay, it is not like that. Reproductively isolated from individuals of the different species. Okay, so this is the first point. And now the species share the same ecological niche, and this is the second point. So you should know what is meant by niche. Okay, so habitat is nothing but a place of a living where the organisms are living. Okay, which means every individual has an address. Okay, so if we are living in a house, we need an address, and that house has an address. Okay, so that is what a habitat, address of an organism. Okay, place of a living, we can simply say like that. Now what is niche? Okay, so the niche is nothing but the organisms where they are living plus what is the functional role performed by that particular organisms. Okay, so the place of a living is an habitat. Besides the place of a place, besides the place of an organisms, there is a functional role of each and every organisms in an ecosystem, that is called as a niche. So to explain simply, the functional role of an organism is called as a niche, right? Now, so this is the second important keyword. The third thing will be the species have the similar structure and functional characteristic features, which means what? They are structurally similar and they are functionally similar. Okay, okay, if they are having a hand, so in the human beings we are the same species. In the, if my hand is responsible doing certain things, means every other humans they are also having the same functions with the same structure. Okay, so that is why species are having the same structure as well as the functional characteristic features. This is the third important keyword. And the fourth thing will be they show similarity in the karyotype. Karyotype means what? Chromosome we are having. So say for an example, in the human beings we are having 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, so in the 23 pairs of chromosomes, so each and every chromosome, first chromosome will be look similar in all the species of humans. Okay, and the second pair of chromosome will be similar in all the human beings. Okay, so that is what each species having the similarity in the karyotype as well as their in number. If I am having the 23 pairs of chromosomes, you are also having the 23 pairs of chromosomes. So that is what in structure as well as in number. So this is what an important fourth keyword in the various aspects of the species. Now the species is dynamic. Why it is dynamic? Why not it is static? See, meaning it can change over time due to the evolutionary process. Okay, so human is coming under an ape category. Human is an ape. Okay, so in an throughout the among the so in the evolutionary process, in the ape, one of the species have been evolved into the most advanced species called human. Okay, so that is why we are saying species is dynamic. So human, what we are seeing now, may change a million years after. Okay, after a million years, after a billion years, after 100 years. Okay, so whatever the thing can happen. Okay, so species is dynamic, they adapt, they can change over time due to the evolutionary process. So these are all the various aspects of species. Okay, so in this question we have studied about what is species and what is a biological concept and what some scientists have explained about the species and about the various aspects of the species. Okay, so this is an important thing. So we'll move to the next question. So what are all the reasons for the greater biodiversity in the tropics? Okay, so you should know that the reasons for the greater biodiversity. So first you should know that what is meant by biodiversity. Biodiversity in the sense variety of living organisms. Okay, so if I take the butterfly. Okay, so if I can take the butterfly, it is not the similar color. What I am seeing what I am seeing the butterfly in my place may be different from the butterfly in your place. Okay, so if I see the black color, the white color butterfly is also there. Okay, so structurally they are having a different species, different varieties of the butterflies. Okay, so that is what a biodiversity. I have taken only the butterfly. You can take the spider. Okay, so in the insect category, in the mammals category, whatever be the phylums you have taken, you can see a variety of species in each and every species. Okay, so that is what a biodiversity. Now, so they are saying why there is a greater biodiversity in the tropical level. See, this is an earth. Okay, so this is the earth, this is the 0 degree equator, and this is the 23.5 degree north. Okay, 23.5 degree north, 66.5 degree north. Okay, 66.5 degree north, and this is the 90 degree north. Okay, so like in the same way, here 23.5 degree south, 66 degrees south, and here 90 degree south. Okay, so you should know that the sun is present in the equator, which means straight to the equator. Okay, so we know that earth is rotating, not only the sun, it is rotating them. Okay, it is rotating itself. Okay, both rotation as well as the revolution. So you should know that the sun rays can be easily passed straightly to the equator, and you should know the sun rays will have a slant rays in the temperate as well as in the Arctic and in the Antarctic region. Okay, as the sun rays is very higher in the equator, which means in the tropical region there is a greater summer is also higher, and the winter rainy season is also higher. Okay, so approximately 200 centimeter will be seen in case of the tropical rainforest. So in the tropic region we can see the biodiversity is always higher. And whenever you should know that in the temporal region from the equator. Okay, so from now I am in the equator, whenever I am moving towards the poles, the biodiversity is in decreases. Okay, you should know the statement is very important. Okay, so whenever I am moving from the equator to the poles, the biodiversity is getting decreased, and from the poles, whenever I am moving towards the equator, the biodiversity will get increased. Okay, so this is the basic understanding. Now let me say the reason one by one. Longer evolutionary time. Okay, the tropical latitudes have remained relatively undistributed for millions of years. You should know that they are not disturbed by anyone. As they are not disturbed by anyone for millions of years, they are having enough time to evolve slowly. Okay, so that is what this longer duration allowed for the speciation, leads to the species diversification. Okay, so the longer evolutionary time is one of the major advantage why we are having the greater biodiversity in the tropics. And the second thing will be the stable and predictable climate. Okay, so here in the tropical region the climate will be stable and we can predict the climate. Okay, so easily. So the tropical climates are more constant and predictable than the temperate region. So the tropical climates are very constant and predictable when compared to the temperate region. A stable environment promotes the niche specialization, enhancing the species diversity. Whenever it is not disturbed by any other invasive species, see, there will be no invasive species, then there will be no spoil of this native species, as there will be no disturbances in the biotic factors. With respect to this biotic factors as well as the abiotic factors, they are having a variety of species in the tropics. Okay, now in the third reason, abundant resources in solar energy. Okay, as a solar, see, as I said, this is the basic ultimate source of energy will be the sun. Okay, so the solar energy, water, that is rain, and other resources are available in abundance. Okay, so this leads to the higher bioproductivity in the food production, supporting the greater biodiversity. So your first reason will be the longer evolutionary time, the second thing will be the stable predictable climate, and the abundant resources and solar energy. So these three are the most important reasons why they are having a greater biodiversity in the tropics. Okay. Now, the third question will be the evil quartet. Okay, so the evil quartet, evil in the sense it is bad. Okay, quartet, which means they are referring to four. Okay, so you should know four things, some four things we are considering as a bad. What are all those? Okay, so the evil quartet refers to the four major causes responsible for the accelerated rate of species extinction worldwide. Okay, so the evil quartet in the sense, evil quartet, which means a four major cause. We are saying that as a four cause that is responsible for species extinction. So what is meant by extinction? So if I'm having one butterfly now, because of the unfavorable condition, they can't reproduce and they can't develop their population. As a result, they are extinct from the ecosystem, so that I can't see that butterfly anymore. Okay, anywhere in the world. Okay, so that is what a species extinction. But you should know it is natural. Okay, even though the human is not present in the globe, extinction will always happen. But these four things, four causes will increases the rate of the species extinction. What are all those? And that was done by the human. So the first cause will be the habitat loss and the fragmentation. What is meant by habitat? The place where the organisms are living. Okay, the place of a living. Okay, so that is what a habitat. If there will be no habitat, all the organisms which depend on that particular place will also extinct. Okay, so that is what habitat loss. Fragmentation. So consider this is the long area where the most important flagship species, keystone species are living. Always those species need a longer space, longer territory for their survival. If I am breaking this land into smaller lands, okay, so in between this, these are all the forest initially, but after I have fragmented, I have built something in here, something here, and I have built something here, and the only leftover part will be this area and this area. So automatically the keystone species will be eliminated from this forest. Okay, so now as many keystone species have been eliminated, many species will depend on this keystone species will also get eliminated along with this keystone species. Okay, so let me repeat this once again. So initially all this area will be the forest. Okay, so if I have fragmented all this larger land into the smaller land, in between I have built something here. Okay, so here also I have built something. The only leftover part will be this area and this area. Right now, whenever the keystone species will always need a longer territory. Okay, so as I have fragmented this into the smaller lands, those species can't survive in the smaller area. So along with this, the keystones as this is a scenario, the keystone species will be eliminated from this forest, from the ecosystem. As keystone species have been eliminated from the ecosystem, it will be shattered the ecosystem. Okay, so it will become unstable. Okay. So, what are all the species which depend on this keystone species will also be extinct along with the extinction of the keystone species. So, this is what a habitation and the fragmentation. So, this is the most important reason for the biodiversity loss. Okay, so we are having the four important causes. Among that four causes, this habitat loss and the fragmentation will be the major cause. Okay, so the natural habitats are destroyed or broken down into the smaller species, making survival difficult for that species. So this will be the first reason, and the second cause will be the overexploitation. So the over-exploitation means what? Occurs when human greed exceeds the natural limits. See, we are having a 4 members. Say for an example, in a nuclear family, 4 members, right? Okay, so 4 members, one mother, father and mother, and 2 sons. Okay, so what they are doing, they can live in they can live in a one house. Okay, it will be sufficient for them. What they are doing, they are building a house for each sons. Okay, so they are having one house, and they are building another house, and they are building another house for their other son. Okay, so they are having a 3 house. Okay, so this is greed. Of course it is a greed. Okay, so it occurs when human greed exceeds the natural limits. Okay, so if they are, see, this is a greed when they are exceeding the natural limit. Say for an example, they consider this family is living in a forest area or important area where we can see many species diversity. Okay, and obviously they are living in a forest area. Okay, it is not a forest area, we can say that this is species rich area. So they are destroy, even though they own the land, even though they can have all the rights to destroy the land. So they are not thinking about the species where they already the species are living there. Okay, so they are destroying all the land. Okay, so they are destroying the natural ecosystem, they are building their house there. I'm saying just an example as a house. Okay, so now, so this is what an over exploitation, excessive needs. Now over exploitation, it is not only refers to this afforestation, that is deforestation. So in the marine ecosystem, in the marine ecosystem, when I keep on hunting many fishes. Okay, so if I keep on hunting the same species over and over again, so this leads to the extinction of the fishes in that marine ecosystem. So this is what an over exploitation. Okay, so when we are eating the fish for our survival, that is for our protein content, it is okay. Now when we are taking all the fish, we are made them at commercial, we are get the fish into the market. So this is what an over exploitation. Okay, so now invasion of this alien species. The alien species is nothing but, so consider this as an ecosystem, some of the organisms which are living already there. Okay, some of the organisms which are living already there. So when other species which is non-native to that particular ecosystem is entering into this native in this ecosystem, now this ecosystem will be powerful, sorry, this species will be powerful when compared to our native species, okay. So now this alien species, so this is what considered as an alien species whenever it is entering into the newer natural ecosystem. So the species which is present in the ecosystem may be vulnerable. Okay, whenever they are competing with each other, this alien species will win. Okay, so automatically this results in the extinction of a native species. So the non-native species introduced into the habitat become invasive. So this is called as an invasive species. So they outcompete the indigenous species. This leads to decline or in extinction. Okay, so this outcompete the indigenous species, which means the species which is already living there. This leads to the decline or extinction. So this is what an invasion of the alien species. Now coextension. So what is meant by coextension? So this is an ecosystem. So consider this as an ecosystem. So we are having a plant here. We are having a plant here. So now whenever some insect is coming here for pollination process, okay, so the insect will always seek the plant for taking the nectar, okay, taking the honey, we can say like that. Okay, so taking the nectar. Okay, so now whenever the insect is taking the nectar from the plant is having a pollens, okay, and the insect legs is full of the pollens. Okay, now whenever the same insect is reaching the species of the other plant, belongs to the same species, they are spreading the pollens to the other plant, which results in the pollination. So the plant is also getting benefited and the insect is also getting benefited. Now whenever the plant is evolving, okay, so whenever the plant is extinct, okay, if the plant is not there, the insect belong to this plant, the insect depend on this plant will also get extincted. Okay, so this is what an obligate association. We are having obligate association and facilitative association. Obligate in the sense, definitely they have to depend on each other. Okay, for pollination as well as the food. Okay, so they are dependent of each other. So facilitative means they can live independent of each other, but they are depending as of now. Okay, so if there will be no, if the plant is not there, they can depend on other plants. Okay, so this is what facilitative association. So if those organisms which are in the obligate association, they will coexist. Okay, they will coexist together. Okay, so this is what a evil quartet, the most important thing. Okay, now biodiversity hotspots. Okay, so hotspot in the sun, it is an important area where we can see higher endemism. Okay, higher endemism, and there is a threat for this species. Okay, so biodiversity means they are having a variety of species. Say for an example, in south side, in the Deccan Plateau, we are having the Western Ghats. Okay, so in the Western Ghats we are having many variety of species. Okay, if we if we take one plant species, they are having a different variety. If they are having we can take one insect, that they are having a different variety. And some of the organisms we can see only in the Western Ghats, nowhere in the world. So that is called endemism. Okay, so the endemic species means what? Those organisms which can see in a particular area, only in that area we can see that, but that species, nowhere in the world we can see that species. That is what an endemic species. So in the Western Ghats we are having many endemic species. Okay, so whenever the government is declaring this particular spot as a hot spot, which means what? They are facing a danger. Okay, which means they are facing a threat. We are facing a loss of biodiversity there. We have to take an attention towards that. So that's what a biodiversity hotspot. Okay, a biodiversity hotspot is a region. Okay, biogeographic region with a significant reservoir of a biodiversity that is under the threat of extinction due to the human activities. Okay, so already they are having a variety of species. Because of the human activities, they are facing a threat. So that is what a biodiversity hotspot. So these regions are Earth's richest and most threatened terrestrial ecoregions. Okay, so they are the richest in the Earth and more threatened terrestrial ecoregions. Okay. Now, key features. What are all the features where we can say that particular thing as a hotspot? Okay, so high species richness will be there. Okay, species richness. Okay, the count of the species, the number of species will be higher. So that is called as a species richness. And high degree of endemism. Okay, so whenever we are taking a Western Ghats, we are having a many endemic species. So I have explained you what is endemic species. We can see that particular species in this particular area, nowhere in the world. Okay, so identified for the major conservative priority. So we need to conserve this very faster. So that is what a conservative priority. Okay. So the concept, the original concept means what? The biodiversity hotspot was initially introduced by the Norman Mayers. Okay, so the Norman Mayers is the one introduced the concept called the biodiversity hotspots. Now there are 34 biodiversity hotspots globally. Okay, globally we are having a 34 biodiversity hotspots. In India, we are having Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, in Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma region and the Himalayas. So these are all the areas we are considering as a biodiversity hotspots in India. Okay. Now, what are all the legal protection in India? How to protect? So legal in the sense law. Is there any law to protect this biodiversity hotspots in India? So yes, we are having biodiversity, biosphere reserve. Okay, biosphere reserve and national parks, wildlife sanctuaries. So if the particular area is considered as a forest, to limit the human activities there, to limit the hunting, to limit the over exploitation, to limit all the anthropogenic activities which are giving the threat to that particular biodiversity, all have to be stopped in the biosphere reserve, in the national parks, in the wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, so that is why in India they are giving a legal protection. Okay, so if there is any law, no one will do against the law. Okay, so India we are having 18 biosphere reserve, 107 national parks and 448 wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, so that is what about the biodiversity hotspots. Now the another question will be the Rivet Popper hypothesis. Okay, so Rivet Popper hypothesis, who proposed this concept? Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich proposed the Rivet Popper hypothesis. Okay, what will be the idea? What is meant by this Rivet Popper hypothesis? It answers the question and it addresses the question: what happens if we lose the fewer species? Will it affect the human life? Okay, so we consider this as an ecosystem. There is a many species is here. Many species is present in this ecosystem, which is making the ecosystem stable. Okay, if we remove the most important species from the ecosystem, will it affect the ecosystem? And if even though it is affecting the ecosystem, will it affecting the human life? So this hypothesis is answer for those questions. Okay, so comparing an ecosystem to an aeroplane. So in the Rivet Popper hypothesis, the scientist is comparing the ecosystem to an aeroplane. Okay, the species are likened to the rivets that hold the plane together. Rivets is like a bolt. It's not exactly the bolt. It is connecting all the important parts of the aeroplane. Okay, so that is why ecosystem is considered as an aeroplane. So aeroplane is bigger, so that is considered as an ecosystem. The passengers present inside, which means the rivets. Okay, so the rivets is considered as a species that is holding the plane together. Okay, so also, okay, we'll see what exactly it is there. So minor rivet removal. Minor rivet removal. Removing a rivet from a seat or less critical part may not immediately affect the plane. So in the simpler terms, we can say consider this as an aeroplane. Okay, so this is an aeroplane. Okay, so in the aeroplane we are having hundreds of passengers. So when the one stop has came, if one passenger will get down from the aeroplane, it is not overall we can see there will be again the hundreds of passengers will be there. Okay, if what will be the last stop? When in the last stop, whenever all the passengers have been get down, it will be empty. Okay, so like in the same way, in an ecosystem, if we remove one species or two species, then it will not affect the plane, it will not affect the ecosystem immediately. Similarly, losing a non-critical species may not show immediate ecosystem damage. Okay, so there will be a non-critical species will be there. Okay, so if we remove that species, it will not affect the ecosystem. So this is what a minor rivet removal. And the second thing will be the critical rivet removal, which means removing a rivet from a wing supporting part can cause the plane to crash. Okay, so if we remove this wing, okay, which is an important to fly of for the aeroplane, if we remove that, it will make the aeroplane to crash. Like in the same way, in an ecosystem, if we remove the important keystone species, it disrupts the entire ecosystem. Okay, so this is what a critical rivet removal. Okay, so every species plays a role in ecosystem stability. Okay, so each and every species is important for that particular ecosystem. If we lost that species, especially the critical species, it can lead to the ecosystem collapse. So this is what the Rivet Popper hypothesis put forth by this Paul Ehrlich. Okay, so this is an important concept, right? Now another important thing will be the write the short notes on in situ conservation. So we have studied what are all the things which are damaging the ecosystem. We have studied about the evil quartet, how we can conserve this ecosystem. Okay, how we can conserve the ecosystem. Conservative ecosystem we can conserve in two ways, that is exitive conservation and in situ conservation. In situ conservation in the sense we can preserve an organism in their natural habitat itself, that is what in situ conservation. Ex situ conservation means we are taking the particular organism, we are preserving in somewhere else, okay, not depend no, it is not their own habitat, okay. So if we are preserving, if we are conserving the animal in their own habitat, it is called as an in situ. It is not in their own habitat, somewhere else, okay, we are conserving an animal in somewhere else, no, it is not their own habitat, it is called as an ex situ conservation, okay. So this in situ conservation is a process of protecting the animal and the plant species in their natural habitats, okay. So this is what an in situ conservation, okay. Okay, now what are all the types of in situ conservation? Okay, first one will be the biosphere reserve, okay. So the area set aside and minimally disturbed for conserving biosphere resources, okay. So that is an area which is not disturbed by any humans. Even though it is not disturbed, it is minimally disturbed, okay, minimally disturbed for conserving. So to protect any of the natural ecosystem, we should not disturb the animal, okay. If we disturbing the animal, their life cycle has been changed, okay. So we don't want to disturb them, okay. So that is what a biosphere reserve, where we can restrict the human activity. Now, Sesachalam Hills, 17th Biosphere Reserve in India. Okay, so Sesachalam Hills is considered as a biosphere reserve, which is considered as the 17th Biosphere Reserve in India. Alright. Now, the second thing will be the national parks. Okay, so the national parks, the natural habitats strictly reserved for the protection of the wildlife. Okay, so the natural habitat in the sense they strictly reserved for the protection of this wildlife. So what we have studied in the biosphere reserve, minimally disturbed, but here it will be strictly reserved for the protection of this wildlife. It's known for diverse terrain, flora and fauna. So you should know that the difficult terrain, okay, where we can see the unique plants and species, we are consider that as a national park. Okay, Jim Corbett National Park. This is the first national park in India, which is present in the Uttarakhand, and Kaziranga National Park, which is present in the Assam. Kazu Brahmananda Reddy National Park, which is present in Telangana. Mahavir Harina Vanastali National Park, it is also present in Telangana, and Keoladeo National Park, which is present in the Rajasthan. Okay, so these are all the important national parks. Okay. Now, wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, so in the wildlife sanctuaries, they are protect the specific endangered faunal species. So these are all the important keywords you should remember. Okay, so in the wildlife sanctuaries, they are protecting the specific endangered faunal species. Okay, so ecotourism is permitted without disturbing the wildlife. Here the ecotourism is permitted, okay, without disturbing the wildlife. In Andhra Pradesh, Koringa Sanctuary, Eturnaagaram Sanctuary, Papigundalu Sanctuary. So these are all the important examples for the wildlife sanctuaries which is present in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So next, the sacred groves. The grove is a small group of trees. Okay, a grove is nothing but a small group of trees when of a religious importance. It is called as a sacred grove. Okay, so if we are why we are connecting the nature with the religion? Why? Because in the name of science, no people will obey that. Okay, in the name of religion, in the name of God, we can do whatever we want among the people. Okay, because that is an ignorant, that is a sign of an ignorant. We should acknowledge that. Okay, so if something which is very considered as valid, sacred, it will be preserved by the humans, and actually it is not wrong. You should know the science behind it. Okay, so the group which is a smaller group of trees when of religious importance, it is called as a sacred group. Okay, so wildlife and trees are venerated and protected. Say for an example, the cow. Okay, cow is considered as a sacred. for Lord Shiva and lion. So all these things will be the um, uh, favorite animal for those gods. Okay, so all of course it will be preserved or conserved by the humans also. Okay, so that is well, like in the same way in the trees, neem tree, tulsi tree, so all tulsi plant. Okay, so all these things will be protected and conserved by the human beings as they are considered as sacred. In Meghalaya, the sacred groves are the last refuge for many rare and the threatened species. Okay, so in Meghalaya, you should know the sacred groves are very last, are the last refuge for many rare and threatened species. So whenever you are highlighting all these important things in the exam, you can get more marks. Okay, so these are all the examples of the sacred groves in India. So Kasi and Jaintia Hills. So in Meghalaya, we are having Kasi, Jaintia and Kasi and Jaintia hills in the Meghalaya. Kasi, Garo and Jaintia hills in the Meghalaya. So in the Kasi hills and the Jaintia hills, they are considered as a sacred. Okay, so they are preserving the plants and animals there. In Rajasthan and Gujarat, Aravalli Hills is considered as a sacred, and this is the old fold mountain range in India. Okay, old fold mountain range. Young fold mountain range will be the Himalayas. Okay, so this Karnataka and Maharashtra, they are considered in the Western Ghats region. Western Ghat region, specifically those Western Ghat region in the Karnataka and Maharashtra, they are considered as sacred. Chhattisgarh, the Sarguja, bastard will be the sacred. And in Madhya Pradesh, Chanda is considered as a sacred area. Okay, so in this class we have completed the short answer questions in the diversity of living world. Okay, so in tomorrow's class we'll discuss the short answer questions for the next chapter. Okay, thank you so much.